The desert never truly sleeps. At Solstice Sound, everything feels like it exists outside of time. By day, it's sunburns, dust storms, and overpriced coconut water. But by night, it's something else entirely. Bonfires, masked dancers, bass lines that vibrate your teeth. This was my third year at the festival, and I thought I'd seen everything. Fire-breathing art cars, DJs who played upside down, even a spontaneous wedding between strangers at sunrise. But nothing prepared me for what happened Saturday night. It was late, 1:45 a.m. The main acts had wrapped, the crowds were thinning, and most people were either passed out or deep in some kind of chemical trance. I was wandering alone near the outer edge of the campgrounds where the weird stuff usually happened. Pop-up art, secret stages, experimental sound installations. Then I saw it. A soft red glow in the distance, behind a dune. There was no sound at first, just a hum in my chest like I was picking up bass through my bones before I could hear it with my ears. I walked toward it, curiosity rising. No signs, no lights, no security, just dust and shadows. And then I reached the top of the dune. Below me sat a black cube, maybe 20 feet tall, pulsing with dim red light. It wasn't on the official map. I'd memorized the lineup and scouted every known stage. This one? It had just appeared. There was no banner, no booth, no drinks, no visuals, just a single raised platform and a masked DJ behind it. They wore a full-face mirrored helmet, faceless and shining, reflecting the crowd in fractured pieces. And yes, there was already a crowd, hundreds of people, all facing forward, silent. No whoops, no cheering, no phones in the air, just waiting. At exactly 2 a.m., the music started, not with a drop or build-up, but with a pulse, low, steady, like a heartbeat too slow to belong to anything alive. The lights dimmed, and the DJ raised one gloved hand. Then it hit. Layers of sound I couldn't even describe. It didn't sound like music. It felt like language without words, like something talking directly to your nervous system. And the people started to move, not dancing, not yet, swaying, together, perfectly synchronized, like they were being puppeted by invisible strings. I stood frozen at the back, heart pounding. The bass felt like it was rattling inside my skull. That's when the first person dropped. A girl near the front wearing LED wings. She collapsed like her legs had been pulled from beneath her. Then a guy to her left. Then 3 more. No screams. No one helped them. They just lay there, twitching, or not moving at all. And the rest kept swaying, like they didn't even notice. Something in my body screamed, "Leave. Now." But my legs barely moved. The music wasn't just sound anymore. It was inside me, like it had replaced my heartbeat. I turned and ran, tripping through the sand, eyes blurry, ears ringing. I didn't look back. When I got to my tent, I collapsed onto my sleeping bag, heart racing, lungs burning. I didn't sleep, just waited for sunrise. When the sun came up, I went back. I had to know. But the stage was gone. No black cube, no wires, no tracks. Just sand, empty and smooth like nothing had ever been there. I asked security. They shrugged, said they'd gotten no reports of an unscheduled set. But by midday, people were talking about the missing. 73 festival goers had vanished between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. Their wristbands pinged the festival system once, right at 2 a.m., then nothing. No more movement, no signal. Phones dead. Gone. I still have my wristband. It buzzes sometimes randomly, always around 2 a.m. And once last month, I swear I heard that same beat in my sleep, like it was calling me back. And in my dream, the DJ's mask had a reflection, but it wasn't mine. It was supposed to be the chillest part of the festival, the silent disco at Wild Pines. Midnight, deep in the forest, with glowing headphones and quiet rhythmic movement under the trees. Everyone said it was the best part, personal, hypnotic, strangely intimate. They hyped it all weekend, So even though I barely knew the group I'd come with, a last-minute invite through a friend of a friend, I followed them down the trail into the trees when the time came. There was no visible stage, just strands of soft lights hanging between pines, glowing in pulses of blue and violet. The forest floor was layered in needles, muffling footsteps, and the crowd was already there. Hundreds of people, scattered like dream shadows, all moving silently. They handed out the headphones at a folding table near the entrance. No booth, no staff name tags, just black headsets with a glowing red band across the top. Mine lit up the moment I put it on. The music started right away, crystal clear, perfectly balanced. It wasn't a track I recognized, but it felt familiar somehow. Ambient bass, soft claps, and a layered female voice repeating, "Feel the rhythm. Join the rhythm. Feel the rhythm." Over and over. It wasn't annoying. It was soothing, like it had been written to slow your breath and loosen your bones. I let myself go. Time blurred. I danced quietly, eyes half closed, floating. Occasionally, I'd glance around, hundreds of dancers glowing under the colored lights, each lost in their own little universe. But then, something shifted. It was the stillness that hit me first. When I opened my eyes, I realized no one was moving anymore. They were all standing still, every single one of them frozen mid-step, arms at their sides, headphones still lit, all facing the same direction. Forward, towards something I couldn't see. And then the music changed. It wasn't music anymore. It was voices, whispering, chanting. I couldn't make out words at first, just a soft, collective murmur, layered and circular like it had no beginning or end. Then it grew louder until the phrase became clear. "Turn around, turn around, turn around," over and over. I pulled the headphones off. Silence. Pure, deep forest silence. No wind, no music, no chanting. Just the feeling of being very, very alone. Except I wasn't. I turned to the guy next to me and tapped his shoulder. He didn't blink. His eyes were wide, glossy, his mouth slightly open. He looked alive, but off, like he wasn't really in there anymore. I backed up, heart pounding, slipped the headphones back on, because some panicked part of me needed to hear something, anything. The chanting had stopped. Instead, a single voice whispered calmly, directly into my ear, "You shouldn't have taken them off." I yanked them off again and dropped them. That's when I realized everyone was looking at me. Hundreds of heads, perfectly still. All faces turned toward me at once. No blinking, no expressions, just synchronized watching. I don't remember making the decision to run, but I did. Through the trees, breath ragged, chest pounding. I swear I saw them in the woods just beyond the lights, not chasing me, but following. Matching pace, like shadows. I ran until the lights were gone and the silence felt real again. The next morning I went back. The clearing was empty. No lights, no speakers, no signs of life, just a pile of broken headphones on the ground, half buried in pine needles. I found a volunteer near the food trucks and asked if they'd shut the disco down early. He looked confused. "We canceled that set," he said. "The DJ never showed." Later that day, I found my headset still clipped to my backpack. I didn't remember keeping it. I didn't remember anything after I ran. I should have thrown it out, but I didn't. That night, back in my tent, I put it on again, just to see. Silence. Then, soft as breath, "We see you now." The silence is what woke me. Not birds, not voices, and definitely not music. Just dry, still desert air pressing against the fabric of the tent like a warning. It took me a moment to remember where I was. Soulare Festival, a 3-day off-the-grid music event in the middle of the California highlands. I'd come with Danny and Marcos, our first real trip in a long time. Day 1 was chaos. Dancing, dust, psychedelics, some weird art installation made of bones and mirrors. Day 2? I barely remembered. We'd partied until sunrise and crashed around 4 a.m., laughing ourselves hoarse. But now, I was alone. I sat up, throat bone dry, tongue sticky. My body ached like I'd been hit by a truck. I reached for my water bottle. Empty. The tent flap flapped once in the breeze, then stilled. The air outside was strangely gray, like morning light filtered through dust and ash. I fumbled for my phone. Dead. No signal. No battery. I reached for Danny's. Gone. So was Marcos's bag. I crawled out of the tent, and that's when I knew something was wrong. The entire campground was empty. Not people are sleeping, empty, abandoned. Tents still stood, fluttering lazily in the wind. Lawn chairs, coolers, a half-buried pair of Crocs, but no people, no staff, no sound, not even a distant bass line. I spun around, trying to make sense of it. And that's when I noticed my wristband. It had changed. When we checked in, they'd given us bright blue fabric wristbands, embroidered with the Soulare logo, sparkly festival icons, a little barcode. Now mine was dark red, almost black in the sun, and the design, it wasn't festive. It was intricate, sharp, twisted. The shapes didn't feel random. They looked ancient, like symbols you weren't meant to understand. I tried to slide it off. It didn't budge. I tugged harder. Sudden, sharp pain shot up my arm like an electric shock. I jerked my hand back, heart pounding. It had never been that tight before. Now it felt embedded. I started walking the rows of tents, calling Danny's name. Then Marcos's. Nothing. Eventually, I saw someone. Way in the distance near the entrance gates. A man in a yellow safety vest. Relief surged through me. I ran. He didn't wave, didn't move, just stood there, waiting. When I got close, he turned to me, his eyes flicking straight to my wrist. His face changed instantly. He stepped back, voice low, calm, almost rehearsed. "You're not supposed to be here anymore." I held up my wristband. "What happened? Where is everyone?" He didn't answer that. He just stared at the band and said, "If it's red, you're part of the ritual." I blinked. "What ritual?" His gaze locked with mine. He tilted his head like trying to decide something. Then, quietly, "Run." I didn't ask questions. I ran. Through the camps, past rows of empty tents, through vendor stalls that looked like they hadn't been touched in days. Signs were falling over, trash scattered, and the air, it had changed, thicker, stiller. I ran until I saw the woods, dense and dark at the edge of the site. I hesitated at the tree line, then heard it. Footsteps, slow, crunching through dead leaves. Not behind me, ahead. I turned, and they were there. 12 or so people, silent, barefoot, all wearing the same red wristband. They stood among the trees like statues, watching, not moving, not blinking. I backed away. And then someone grabbed my arm. I whipped around. Another figure, closer, expressionless. Then the pain came again, starting in the wrist, crawling up my spine, like heat and static and memory unraveling. I woke up in the dark, not in the forest, not in the tent. A small room, single chair, no windows. A speaker clicked on overhead. A voice, calm, female, unnatural, spoke. "You have been marked. You have been offered. You are remembered." That was 2 years ago. They let me go, or maybe they just released me to wait. I still have the wristband. It never came off. I've tried scissors, fire, acid. Nothing touches it. Sometimes in the mirror it doesn't reflect. Sometimes it glows. And every year on the anniversary of Soulare I get a message. It's almost time again.